Okay, everyone, this is Randy Small, Whatcom County Weather, and got this started up on YouTube, I believe. I think I have my chat open, and now I'm just going to quick start the Facebook Live. So we have them both going simultaneously here. I think this should work out well. Hopefully, you can hear me tonight. Again, we've had a little bit of glitching here or there, but I think we're getting it hopefully figure it out as we go through the night. I was going to bring up again some aurora photos that I took the other night just to kind of start out. I posted this earlier looking east, a little bit north there, had some greens, but then this pinks were the dominant color. So I think we're now live on Facebook as well. So hopefully, yep, it appears that we are. So let your friends know we're live. And again, you can put your comments. I've got two different places that I'm doing comments. So we got good evening. My neighbor is on. Keith is always here. Sean says loud and clear. So it looks like we're good to go. We got a bunch joining on here and kind of waiting for the Facebook Live to have a couple that have joined. And then here's another photo that I took as the aurora the clouds really were coming in, but they were still powerful enough to get these greens coming through. I think this was an airplane down here that was flying, but anyway, we are going to look at the weather. Just thought I'd share those pictures with you on the broadcast tonight. And great to have you along. And again, make sure you like the stream on both places, YouTube and Facebook, and then subscribe. We're getting close to 300 subscribers on YouTube, and I have some more ideas that I want to do later in the year, or into the winter time here, I guess, the storm season, and working on some of that to run off of YouTube, possibly some ideas there, and then we'll continue to work out of the office here until we have a storm. So let's find out tonight. First of all, we're going to talk about the current observations, and then we will look at ENSO, and I'll explain what that means. La Nina, El Nino. We're going to talk about that. There was an update today, so I'll go through that, and then we'll look at what's to come. So let's check the radar real quick here tonight. We've got, looks like shower activity. According to this, Bellingham maybe area. Here we can zoom in a little bit. Kind of the Geneva, you can see it on here. Kind of the north end of Lake Whatcom, I guess. And we can put this into motion here, and we can kind of see it's kind of built up a little bit south of Nooksack, maybe Everson area here, and some of that up in the foothills looks like. And then looks like we got some precip, kind of rotating in through Anacortes and the islands. A little bit there catching the islands, and then to the North Skagit County area. That's what I'm trying to say, or just Skagit County looks like. So kind of talking that up a little bit here too. See the shower activity still, but the main rain was through. Let's take a look at what we have on the ground right now. Observations, and it actually was pretty cool after the front came through this afternoon. But with temps in the 40s pretty much all the way around the board here in Whatcom County in the lowlands. 39 up on the top of Sumas Mountain. And then we're 40 up at the ski area. And that jives with right here at the ski area, Mount Baker ski area. We got 40 degrees and 8 o'clock. So that goes along with what we're seeing. So we've been above freezing both Pan Dome / Artist Point and the ski area for quite a while here. So all that precipitation that fell was rain today. So no snow up at the ski area or even Artist Point or Pan Dome. Let me also check in at how much precip. And I think Jennifer posted this earlier, but let's check the 24-hour precip amounts here. And we've got good amounts here. Actually, I'm going to make this 36-hour. Because that encompasses when it started, but we got this wonderful Sumas reporting station that's always well over what everybody else gets, it seems like. They come in at 1.76 inches. I'm going to add a couple more stations here. Well, I don't know if it added too many more, but we got, again, and then there's this one out here on Semiahmoo that's always under. So maybe if we average these two together, we'll get what they should have or something like that. But looks like an inch over here in Birch Bay Village. Across the border, we're kind of seeing, upper 3/4 to an inch there in the White Rock area. We've got, kind of a discrepancy here, but, somewhat close, almost an inch here in Ferndale. And then the airport comes in at 0.84. Linden, our two reporting stations that we have here on this map, 0.85 is mine, Jennifer's is 0.88, got 0.91 in Everson. So it looks pretty good. Maybe South Bellingham down here didn't get quite as much. Down into Skagit, we've got a half an inch here, kind of along the I-5 north of Burlington, and then at the Skagit Regional Airport. For some reason, that just doesn't always pick up a whole lot, but 0.36. Then we got up in the mountains. We got some good numbers here. Looks like 3.5 inches at Mount Baker. So excellent rain totals for this round. And Keith says he got 0.91. Now, Keith did tell me where he lives. I think he's the Lakeway area. I don't think his station is on this one, but maybe he has it hooked to the internet through Weather Underground or through something else. But yeah, you can see here that, James Street. Okay. Not sure we have any station here on James Street. I'm just kind of looking here if there's any reporting stations that would be close. No, not on the NOAA map there isn't, but I know there is on Weather Underground. So, just kind of looking at if there was any in that area. We got the hospital here, and not seeing any stations in this area, but so nothing to compare that's close. Okay, he does have it on the Weather Underground. Okay, well, that's good. I think we got good totals here. His pretty well jives with kind of what Bellingham, 0.84 down here, 0.84 up here. This is a, top of the line reporting station here at the airport. So enough of that. Let's take a look at where we are for the month to date. Now, this does not include today's, but we've got 3.28 inches, and it's 5.2 is the average. I think I memorized that. One thing I noticed yesterday was a high of 49, so we finally went below normal. We're still at 4.5 degrees above normal for the month, 55.5 versus 51 normal. The low is just under 3 degrees, just over 2 degrees above normals, but still a warm month. But we did have a couple lows here that were underneath the normal, which is 38 now. And we had 35 overnight yesterday as the low. By the way, there's the record low from November 12th, 1955, 5 degrees. That's probably the coldest record single-digit low earliest in the season. It's got to be. Because look at this. Nothing before, there's a 10 the day before, and that was also 1955. Look at this stretch in 1955. In November 11th through 14th, 10, 5, 10, 9, 3. 5 days in a row with basically single digits. 10 or below. Wow. That's 5 mornings or nights with, that's crazy. Because look at, you go here are the records. The next few days, you don't see anything close to that. That was quite a stretch. Anyway, enough of that. If we add in what we got today, somewhere in the 0.50, half an inch range, maybe not quite, we're going to be at 3.75 inches for the month. And we are closing in, 5.2, I think is the average. So we're not too far away. So it looks like November's going to end up at this point looking like wetter than normal, which is good. That'll help us catch up. And when we look at our accumulation map through the 12th, because the 13th hasn't registered on here, we are at 24.87 inches is the accumulation for Bellingham Airport through November 12th, and normal is 27.46 to that year to date. So we are, start to do the math. But you throw in the half inch we had on there today, that's going to put us somewhere close to 2 inches. So we've made up since October, what date was this? 12th? We've made up half the deficit for the year from 4 to 2 inches, basically. So, that was that's good to see, because we've been under deficit since April or March. Well, no, April, whatever, 2nd, 8th, whatever, somewhere in that early April period. And the brown line is the normal, and the green is what we've accumulated for the year. So that's good to see. Here's the satellite loop. You can kind of see the clouds and kind of where that precip would match that. There, what you see here on that is sunset. You can see when this loops right there. And now it's going dark. See that? It's nighttime. It's harder to see the clouds at nighttime on this loop, but you can kind of see this is the water vapor loop. Just kind of looking at this, I didn't zoom in, but you can kind of see some of those clouds coming in, and excuse me, with the water vapor loop coming in here. Nothing too crazy that stands out by us tonight on that. We will come back and look at the forecast. And I'll take questions too, as well. Okay, the 1985 cold snap that Alex is bringing up is down here. It was this one, 1911-10-8, where those were the low temps. And I believe there was a pretty big snowstorm. Yeah, he said lots of snow. So, yeah. And yes, the College of DuPage is the radar well, this is a satellite that I use. I use Radar Scope for my radar. I do pay for it, but it's a really good one for an app. But the College of DuPage also has one that you can use as well. So excellent one here. Just kind of showing you some of the options that we can look at, especially as we go through the storm season. Okay, let's take a look at the forecast tonight. I am going to check Facebook real quick just to see if the comments are... And I think Jennifer is hopefully kind of watching things. And but let me just check to see if there is any issues on the Facebook end. Looks like we got some people that are joined. And Luba wants to know if we're going to have a white Christmas this year. We'll talk about... well, we can't talk about Christmas yet. We don't really know. That's too far out. So, okay, Jen, I see that you're monitoring both. But yeah, that's too far out. Let's hope we get a white Christmas. That's all I can say. And the chances are what? Are they about 20%? Although we've had 2 or 3 in the last few years, except not the last 2 years. But the 2 years before that, I think we had them. I could pull up pictures and show you that. So, but I better get back to looking at the weather here. The 0Z, and as you're joining more of these lives, you're going to start recognizing these weather models and some of the talk and jargon that I use. But we're looking at tonight's 0Z, which came out at 4 o'clock, but by the time it hits our computers is right now. It's not even fully run tonight, but it's far enough that we will be able to take a look at what's going on. Here is our system. A lot of this energy is gone south down into California, and so let's put it into motion. Here we go as we kind of go on into Friday. It looks like maybe things dry out here just at a quick look, although that's kind of a... you still got some trophiness affecting that. So nothing that's ridging enough to really stop a whole lot of systems, but it might allow us not to be too wet there for a couple of days, Friday into Saturday. But we'll take a look at that when we look at the surface. We're looking at 500 millibar, which is about 18,000 feet up in the air. It's a bird's eye view. It helps us see what kind of big systems in the global perspective, so to speak, and what troughs and ridges are up here. Blue is generally troughs and upper level lows. Oranges and reds and whatever that color is up there are more ridgy ridges and drier. Generally speaking, troughs and upper level lows bring us more stormy weather. So let's put this again into motion. We're in Saturday. It looks like possibly not a bad day for Saturday here, but it doesn't going to last long. As you see Sunday, we got this upper level low going off into California. They're going to get hit pretty well. Here comes another one with this upper level low way up here in the Gulf. And we're going to swing this into motion as we go into Sunday. And again, this upper level low, this second one, I'm backing it up. We've got this one down here, right, coming in the weekend. We got another one on its heels coming down into California. Now, we will be affected by some of these. Sometimes they're big enough that they can hit us all the way up here. So we'll look at that as we look at the surface maps. We got another little trophiness going on up here, a small thing. And that kind of dies out, but that is Monday. And we got this huge thing going down into California, even northwest Mexico, or Baja Peninsula, I guess. Meanwhile, we still got some trophiness, but it's very light. And so we just don't, there's going to be some precip. Now, as we go later in the week, we got this ridge on this GFS wanting to try to set up. And when you get this ridge up here into Alaska, that potentially opens the door if there's cold air up here to kind of spill down to here. But we're not going to, we'll see if that happens. But we got to start watching for those things. That's what brings us cold air. And so we got more of this, as Jennifer just said on the YouTube chat, energy going south. Doesn't mean we're going to be out of the woods and we're going to have really nice weather. That's not necessarily, although this ridge will probably block some things if that actually happens. And we continue to put into motion. And now we're getting out a little bit further, over a week away. But the reason I'm going to look at this is because there's chatter that next week later, there could be some cold developing. And so this ridge right here is important. And what it does is it sets us up here for potential, again, depending on what cold air can come down this way. And right here, this has potential for some cold air. I'm not saying lowland snow at all. But, and that's where the GFS stopped before I have to refresh it again. Here, let me refresh it again because it's probably out of further. Hang on, let me forward it. It's not out too far. This looks interesting to me. This ridge placement's not the best, but this is fascinating to me right here. Okay, for cold, not saying lowland snow, but interesting. This is way out there. So let's keep an eye on that for sure. Let's take a look at the 12Z Euro. Let's go back here. I was looking at it earlier. Put this into motion. And again, a lot of this is matching up. The energy is down here. Here comes the next one. It's maybe not as strong with that second one on the 12Z that's going into California. Because if you look here at the 0Z GFS as it goes in, here comes this big one right here on later Sunday into Monday. But on the Euro, no, got the wrong one. On the Euro, Sunday into Monday, that's not near as strong, so to speak. So there are some major differences, and I can actually show you these differences in model comparison, but I just not going to have the time to do that tonight. So let's continue. This is next week. We've got general troughiness, upper level low, cool, not ridge, kind of way from BC all the way down to Mexico, deep into Mexico. So the potential for Arizona to be pretty cold, I guess, for cold air standards coming up next week. And look at this. Even the GFS is kind of somewhat advertising that. Curious to know. Let's just do something. Yeah, I know I can split the screen, and I need to get that up here. But let's quick look at the National Weather Service for Phoenix next week. I'm just curious what their forecast. Okay, let's just take a look at this after what I just saw on these weather models so far tonight. We got 84 tomorrow. Anybody want to go there? 78 on Saturday, 71 on Sunday. So that's definitely somewhat of a cool down. Again, for us, that would be like it's warm, but that's a cool down. 84 down to 71. But let's take a look at next week here. High of 67 Tuesday, high of 65 on Wednesday and Thursday. That's 19 degrees. So I'm guessing that's below normal. Okay, chance of showers here several times, but especially on the weekend. It looks like Saturday night, Phoenix may see some rain. So there you go. And you can kind of pick that up on these weather model maps. Okay, I have gotten off the track. We're looking here at the Euro next Wednesday. Here comes another big time upper level low. And again, it wants to go into California. Okay, and then I'm not seeing much of a ridge yet, but well, let's see what happens up here in Alaska, up here. And here comes a trough on this run. This is too far out. Okay, here comes this ridge. So it's not the greatest ridge, but that does, look at this. Look at this potential. I'm not saying lowland snow. Please don't, that's not what I'm saying, and this is not a good for much long-lasting things. Okay, and then this thing might regurgitate, and it does a little bit, and then it ends. That was the 12Z earlier. Okay, all I'm saying is we got to keep an eye on next week for cool air. We'll just say it that way. Doesn't mean that tomorrow the weather models will be like, nope, we're going to put up a ridge on you. And the ridge is not going to be in Alaska, it's going to be over Washington. So we're not making any predictions about this, but we're just seeing it. Okay, let's look in the near term here for precip. I'm just going to run tonight's GFS. Actually, I'm going to refresh it real quick. Let's see what the precip map kind of looks like. It gives us an idea. This is into Friday. definitely kind of, it's eyeing Skagit, especially for precip. It's got a bullseye, but then it picks up Friday night, tomorrow night with some precip as we go into Saturday. Not too much in Saturday. And Sunday, not much at all. Not much at all on Sunday, it looks like. Just at this run. And then you'll see, you can barely see the tip of down here, but if we put it on the southwest, you'll see this map. Look at all the rain they potentially are going to get down there, and that's only through Monday morning. I mean, you can just put this into motion, and they're going to get more. So, down into Mexico. See? Yeah. Okay. And now let's go back here. I'm going to look at where we live, the Northwest, and let's put this into motion. Monday, not too much for Monday. Maybe Monday night into Tuesday might see some precip, definitely. Let's see what else. Anything else? Here comes that big, that upper level low later in the week, next week down in California. So, okay, not too bad for precip, but definitely some more coming off and on over the next few days on this run. Let's take a look at the Euro for precip on the 12Z. Oh, I already had that up. I didn't refresh. Okay, some of this is today's rain because this Euro ran way early this morning because I'm doing the morning run here because they don't have the night run even. Well, it might be started, but it's not out. So that's mostly today's rain already. Friday, here comes a little bit of maybe. And again, it's kind of down here, pointed down into Skagit, Snohomish. Maybe a convergence zone of some sort. I have to look at something else to find that out. But it's just interesting that that's setting up. Friday, a little bit of rain on this run. Saturday morning or overnight. Yeah, overnight. Okay, the Euro is advertising Friday night into Saturday with some rain. Morning. And then by the times, yeah, it's a good, decent, half an inch. Because a half an inch of that amount was already earlier today. Looks like maybe Saturday afternoon, not so bad. But it's still trying to rain off and on during Saturday on the Euro. Sunday, a little bit of rain still hanging around on Sunday into Monday. So, and then it just keeps going. So the Euro is definitely more moist, so to speak, than the GFS, at least on this run. I'm going to take a look at the latest high resolution HER model. There it is, that funny thing right here. Oh, maybe that is actually, the more I think about it, it's what's going on right now. It's like this right here. I'm not sure that that's really a convergent zone, although, because usually the convergent zone it can do Skagit, but it's often down here, but it's not really, but it's kind of like what it is. And I think that's what the models were picking up. You can kind of see it right here on Skagit and even down here. So, interesting. Let's continue on into Friday for the high resolution. Again, it's still wanting to point in Skagit County tomorrow. And then a little bit up here in Whatcom. A little bit more. And late tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. Let's see what Saturday. They're still advertising into Saturday morning, and then we go in maybe Saturday afternoon, not so bad. So that's kind of what we're seeing. Let me check snow. I'm just going to look at the Euro real quick. A little bit of snow kind of up here in the North Cascades. Not much up in here in Whatcom through the weekend. So whatever snow that was slated earlier this week has kind of gone away, at least on this run. And then look at California. It's going to get hammered with snow. Down there, you can see that. So, yeah, traveling down into California, if you are doing that, keep an eye on the weather going through the passes there. Weed, Shasta, all that area. Yeah, look at this down in California. Not seeing a ton of... Okay, later. Okay, so here's where the cold air is being advertised. Now you see that snow starting to come into the mountains next week or into the following week, but that's too far out. But you can see what that cold air we were talking about has potential. Look at this. Even the Oregon Cascades would get in on that. That would be very good for, ski areas. Let me look at the Southwest. Look at this amount of snow down in the Sierras. Look at this. I mean, they're looking at feet of snow down there. Of course, they're higher. Some of those mountains are 8,000 feet that's hitting. And we're looking, for their ski areas are up higher. At least some of them are. Ours is at 4,200, and what Stevens is, there's Snoqualmie. They're not. I don't think they're at 7,000 or 8,000. So, but this is pretty amazing for November before Thanksgiving if this pans out, and definitely some of that will. I'm way out, that's only into next Tuesday, and that's a decent amount of snow. So it looks like California is going to have some fun just by looking at this. Okay, let's summarize what we're going to get over the next few days. Oh yes, Highway 20, they closed. Good point, Keith. They are closing Highway 20. In fact, oh man, where did I see the tweet or the Facebook post? Department of Transportation. Okay, that's just from the news. Well, I'll just pull up this news article from KHQ. They're going to close it here. It's temporarily closed to snow and rain due to snow and rain forecast. It will start at 5 p.m. today, so that must have been. It's closed now, and they're going to assess for possible reopening depending on how much snow they get, but it's not guaranteed. So, looking at what's coming later in the week, I got to believe if they can clear it, which I think they could, it would be reopened. But they've known to take these things and just close it and call it good. So, I'm not going to predict which way they're going to go. But it looks like Highway 20 now. I thought it was closing tomorrow, but I guess it was closing today. So let's finally look at the forecast, and then we're going to look at La Nina here. And then that should be it for tonight, unless you have questions. So let's check to see if the forecast matches what we've kind of said. Tonight's a chance of rain, not a huge one. We got more rain coming later into Friday night. There's the Friday night into Saturday. And they are advertising a decent amount of rain into even Saturday, although the amounts will tell a lot of the story. Saturday earlier, tenths to a quarter, and then less than a tenth Saturday night. See, so later Saturday might not be so bad. That's at least what I'm kind of seeing. Then more rain on Sunday into Sunday night, chance of rain Monday. So you kind of see, just these aren't going to be like huge amounts, but again, it's going to push us closer to normal for the year and for the month. And so just seeing a lot of rain mentioned in here, but again, not big amounts. Tenth to a quarter to a half an inch Friday night. That might be the biggest amount over the next few days. Sunday, less than a tenth of an inch. So Sunday may not have a whole lot. Temps are going to be, right around in the 50s, low 50s, maybe upper 40s, depending on where your proximity to the water is. And then the low temps are, tonight's going to be pretty cool, but 47, 44. This is for Linden, but you get the idea. Low of 37. Next week, we'll just keep an eye on. Now, I will show you this on the ensemble run for the airport. This is interesting. This is the Euro ensemble. It's all 50, an average of all 50 model runs for the Euro, which the Euro deterministic is the main run, but they have other they change the input and then they average all these together, especially long term is what we look at these ensembles. And it really gives us kind of a picture, and it kind of helps get out the anomalies that are way off, like too high temperatures or too low temperatures, or showing weird like 16 inches of snow when everything else is basically showing 1 inch or 5 inches, but then we got the 16. It gets that kind of those big anomalies out when we average it. But so this is for Bellingham Airport. The temps are 47, 47, 53, 54. But notice here at the next week, there's just a small hint, although I'm not sure. Let's see, if this was for the 18Z, this might not include the high temperature for that day, actually, because it only goes through the 18Z, so maybe that's not accurate. So I guess I better be careful saying that. I was thinking that it was going to maybe go cold, but often on this last date, because the run itself isn't completely out through the whole day, this is actually only through 11 a.m. The more I think about this, or 10 a.m. actually. So this is probably not correct. But I was thinking that you could kind of see this trend for lows going down, and you could kind of see the trend for highs going down. But this might be off. This actually isn't run all the way through, because it's exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. But it was initialized at 18Z, which is 10 a.m. here. So that only goes through 10 a.m. So forget what I was saying, but still kind of see that trend of cool air going down. And then I'm going to take a look at Mount Baker ski area, which is one of the options, because I want to see if they have for snow what kind of the Euro is looking at here. Let me pull up the ski area. Probably should have had this up already. And you can kind of, you kind of see these temps going down. Again, this 30 might not be the actual high because that's only through 10 a.m. But let me pull up the snow. Hold on one second here. So this is all 50 members, and it is showing, kind of an average of about 6 inches at the ski area in the next week or so. It's kind of the average, about just over 6 inches. The blue line's the average. But we do have some members, again, that are 11 inches, 10 inches, but then we have others that are 2 inches. But every one of these members is showing snow at the ski area. Every one of these has snow. There's no zeros. So that's a good indicator that we may see a few inches at the ski area. Now, this could change, but that, and as you're looking toward the end of the week, we might see some more. So we'll kind of watch this as we go. For the ski area at 4,200 feet, or 4,210 is the elevation. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Good job, Keith, on taking online courses. Definitely, that's definitely a good thing, and that's how I learned, and from people I know, that's how friends that have taught me. So I've learned a ton over the last 7-8 years as we got this page going. By the way, we're gonna have our 7th anniversary. No, it's our 8th anniversary of Whatcom County Weather on Facebook on Black Friday. So just 2 weeks from tomorrow, with the 28th of November, will be our 8th anniversary. I don't know. What are we going to do for our 8th anniversary bash? I don't know. What does anybody do when you're 8? Have something that happens for your 8? I don't know. Not much. But maybe we should have something. Maybe we should have a giveaway of some sort. And with the snow contest, by the way, is closed. So we got a ton of people that did that. Appreciate that. But it is now closed for the 1 inch of snow at my house. And we'll have a winner, hopefully. Unless I think there was 1 or 2 people that said no snow. So whoever said that first, if we didn't get any inch of snow this year, which I think we'll probably will, we would have to give them the $100. So let's take a look at ENSO tonight. What is ENSO? Well, ENSO is called the El Nino Southern Oscillation. And I'm not going to get into this too much, but it is basically a recurring climate pattern that involves changes in the temperatures of waters in the central and eastern tropical Pacific Ocean. On periods ranging from about 3 to 7 years, the surface waters across a large swath of the tropical ocean warm or cool by anywhere from 1 Celsius to 3 degrees Celsius, compared to normal. The oscillating warming and cooling pattern, referred to as ENSO cycle, directly affects rainfall distribution in the tropics and can have a strong influence on weather across the U.S., especially in the Pacific Northwest, by the way. El Nino and La Nina are the extreme phases of the cycle. Between those 2 phases is a third one called neutral. So El Nino is the warming. It is the above average SST. That's sea surface temperatures. And you can read why that becomes warmer than normal. And what happens with some of that. I don't really want to delve into all of that, but it has to do with winds and different combination of ingredients. But when the temperature in that central eastern tropical ocean, if I can say it that way, goes above 0.5 Celsius, it's El Nino. And they do it over a period of months. It's not like they get one reading and I'm like, we're at El Nino, and then the next reading they do, oh, no, we're back to La Nina, and then the next reading. No, it's got to be over a period of time. Okay, I think it has to be an average of 3 3-month readings in a row, basically, to be called it. One or the other of any of these. So La Nina is 0.5 and under, cooler than average, and neutral is in between. It's in between the 0.5 and the 0.5. Cool and warm. That's the neutral. Okay? And today, the National Weather Service put out a monthly ENSO update, November 13th. La Nina is favored to continue in the Northern Hemisphere, winter, with neutral, most likely, in part as we go into that winter. So basically, they're saying La Nina is going to end in the middle of the winter. That's kind of what they're saying. Okay, and they put out another slide. Here's where they're monitoring. Here's the U.S., Baja Peninsula. Here's the waters. And they're watching this region. I think it's called region Nino 3.4. I think is what it's called. And this is the region. And you'll notice it's light blues. So you can kind of see, here's our, -5 is really cold water. 5 degrees Celsius above average is warm. So we're kind of in this light La Nina, okay? And it's right here. And they did this in November 3 through 9th, okay? So, and then they showed that map, and then here is the probability map. And perhaps if you've watched other local weather people on channels and stuff, you might have seen some share this kind of stuff. But right now, October, and they do them in 3-month increments. So October, November, December. Okay, have a 5% chance of being La Nina. That's why they're saying we're basically in a light La Nina, with a very small chance that we might switch to neutral. But you notice as we go to November, December, January, and then we go into December, January, February, notice La Nina comes down, neutral catches up, and El Nino basically, which is red, starts showing up. And then you see January, February, March, basically La Nina is gone, at least on the probability map, and a 60% chance that we're going to neutral. So, and then you see neutral take over into the summer. We're most concerned about the fall winters for this. It does affect our summers, no doubt, and El Nino can really make us have dry, or it can affect it being dry summer. But La Nina in the wintertime often is cooler and wetter, and El Nino is drier and warmer than normal. But it doesn't always work that way. They basically take an average of all these years, and then they say this is what's happened. But there's individual years where they don't always follow what cooler and wetter is La Nina. Sometimes it gets messed up. And neutral's kind of, you're just going to have average. And what we have is single years then that, basically, I just say it this way. It's weighted towards a La Nina. And a La Nina is weighted towards cooler and wetter than normal. But it doesn't mean it will be. But more often than not, it is. So that's kind of, hopefully an explanation of where we're in La Nina. The National Weather Service is continuing that right here. It's favored to continue, and you can see that in the probabilities. I don't want to bore you too much details, but I just pulled up the weekly report here, as they put this out every week. And here are all the years since 2013 through now of what it is. And anything that's gray that you see a minus 0.4 or a 0.2 positive, that's neutral. Okay, anything minus 0.05 to plus 0.05 Celsius in 3 overlapping months is called neutral. And then you see in 2014, and you might remember, into 2015, we went into a strong El Nino. We had a really dry summer and a horrible winter. I think it was the winter either of 14-15 or 15-16. I don't remember which one. But one of those, well, I'll tell you, we can find out right away. The ski area did horrible. Well, we'll find this out right away. Let me pull this up. Bring up the snow report. Oh, they have an update. Okay, they need 20 to 40 inches. They haven't set an opening date, obviously. Okay, I had not read this. Interesting. No, not really any update. No update there. Okay, because they don't have enough snow. They are saying the forecast is looking promising for the next few weeks. Okay. Great. Let me go back here. Where did they change this website? Ugh. Where did they put the snow totals? Come on. Oh, here we go. Snowfall statistics. Thank you. Okay. 14-15. The winter of 14-15 had 303 inches. That was a horrible year. The ski area was it was a bad year. The last couple years, we've not had, the average I think the ski area is like low 600s if you average all these in the last 15 years. And they had half of that in 14-15. So that corresponds to this strong El Nino. And, it was getting going, and it really got strong in 15-16. And then back to a little neutral, and then here's a La Nina, cooler, and then we've had a bunch of La Ninas, like triple La Ninas, and then we had this kind of El Nino in 23, 24, and then last year they called it a La Nina, but it was 0.5, 0.6, 0.4, and really technically, I guess you could, it really wasn't. It was really neutral, but it was a very weak La Nina at best. So, and that's kind of where we're at. We're at minus 0.5 right now, but it's kind of feeling like, it's cooling down again. And that's why they think we're going to go in La Nina. And they've got one of the 3-month period locked in at a La Nina. The question is, will that continue, and for how long? And this is sun is September, October, November, December, January. That's what these these December, January, February, that's what these months, and they do them in average of 3-month increments and then drop that number there. So again, they're saying La Nina's favored. We already looked at that map. I'm not going to bore you with all these details, although they are saying the seasonal outlooks for November to January is above average precip and equal chances of seasonal, basically average temps with above down here. I was going to show you, and that's the same thing. There was one other thing I wanted to show you, and I thought I had this pulled up. Hold on, it may be down here. Yeah, so in a neutral pattern, the jet stream, polar jet stream, ends up going up, north, and it kind of is, just average right here. The Pacific jet stream is kind of aimed here, and the subtropical is down here. So that's kind of neutral. But when you have La Nina, which is kind of what we're in, that jet stream, again, a lot of that is aimed for us, but it really is intensified, and it's dry to the south. In the El Nino, the jet stream gets pushed down here, and we end up going drier. So it's kind of where this jet stream ends up is kind of what they've studied as a result of the temperatures of the water that affects the jet stream positioning, for lack of a better way of saying it. Okay, and I am not an expert on this stuff. Ultimately, it's just stuff I've read and studied, and you could probably trick me with a couple questions, but I have the basics down. So that gives you an idea of where we're standing on that. And I think this live has gone on long enough. Hopefully I haven't bored you. Make sure you like it on both pages, but the YouTube channel is the one we're really wanting to grow. Subscribe. Tell your friends about subscribing. Share it. Watch it. Even let it run. Let the YouTube thing run, because every watch hour we get helps us get to be able to be open more things that we can do on the page or on the YouTube channel. And again, we're going to try to hopefully live stream on there in the wintertime along with Facebook. Haven't figured that all out yet. I can do it easily from my office, but yeah, that's kind of where we stand. Okay, let's look at the appreciate all the comments. Okay, Jen wants to have a team dinner for the anniversary celebration. Yeah, we still haven't had that for last year. Okay, any other comments from the YouTube? Drop that in the chat. Let me look at the Facebook comments just to see if there's any. I know Luba had asked about snow at Christmas. I will not be able to answer that. So let me go through these comments. What's the winds looking like for tomorrow and Saturday? Oh yeah, I forgot about that, Logan. Sorry, I did not look at the winds. Let me get to that. Okay, was wet and low visibility all day in the airplane. Yeah, it makes sense. Lewis asked what's happening. I'm new. We're talking about Whatcom County weather here up in the Pacific Northwest. And by the way, if you're new to Whatcom County, I always tell people when we get into the snow time and the big lives and we got 1,000 people watching, people ask you like, where are you? And I always tell them we're up here in the Pacific Northwest. We're in the furthest northwest, county in the lower 48 states. We're touching the water and we're touching the, British Columbia. And then I tell them that we have rain 375 days out of the year. And also our our state bird, state animal, county creature is the slug. And so there's no houses available for you to move here, and it always rains. And of course I'm joking, but we are actually way up here in the Northwest, and we love our area because we have great views of the mountains and the water, and it does rain some. But such is life. Tim and Kim, hey Randy, love the live, appreciate it. We are going to keep these up. I'll never forget the winter of 1617. Oh yes, the winter of 1617 probably launched me into the weather. I mean, I was already starting to study it, but that winter, hey, while I have you, I don't know if I can pull this off. And I still need to answer Logan's question. We'll look at the winds in just a minute. Maybe he's given up on me here tonight. But let me pull up something, okay? Just bear with me. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. I'm going to pull up some video of that winter. And I do know where I'm going. Here it is. The first winter I started really keeping stuff. And hold on, my MacBook wants to go to sleep, and that's where all my stuff is. So come on back here. But let me just pull up my videos here from that winter. I don't know how this is going to play on a live stream honestly. So let me see if I can pull up some video here. It's taken a little bit to load. That was when this was a brutal northeaster too at times, but I was out in this. I'm trying to find one video. Well, here's one of Linden High School of that snowdrift. I don't know if you can see this.
High School here.
It had this crazy snowdrift at the end.
Crazy drift off the roof.
And what was funny is, again, I don't know if you guys can see this. If you pause it right there, it says spring sports begin February 20 whatever. But here we have this huge snowdrift. It was really a big safety thing, but that snowdrift there was just crazy. So, and then this is the winter of 16-17. So this is the one that Dennis was talking about up in Chilliwack. Let me see here. I know there's another one I wanted to show you. I don't know if the sound is coming through. Here's me. If you ever want to know about the ear flap hat, here's some video of me walking around. And this is what kind of got going when I started wearing this ear flap hat. And we'll explain that more if you're new. But I'm just walking around in the snow. And that was in that same year. So this is kind of cool if these videos work out to watch them. Okay, Mr. Moravec is here. Oh my goodness, good to see you, man. Yes, hopefully the YouTube lives will help out. And hopefully these are streaming. Mr. Moravec from a teacher at Ferndale High School. But great to have you following. And I will say he is one of the reasons why I have the channel today. Why I started the Facebook page. And the hat too, I guess. Wasn't it your guys' idea that I should wear the hat whenever there's a winter storm warning? And the rest is history. So, there was another video I wanted to show. Maybe this one here.
Okay, conditions are worsening here in Linden as the snow starts blowing. That's looking north on Bender Road, and it's really blowing, and snow is coming down like crazy. Day 6 of this winter storm warning.
So what I said, if you couldn't hear, it's day 6 of this snowstorm. It was crazy. Oh yeah, here was another video. I like to show this one.
Look at this. Whiteout conditions, Linden, Washington, heavy snow.
Anyway.
Blowing northeast wind.
Yeah, that was the winter of 16-17.
Tonight.
So, I could do this all day. We could watch videos all day on here. I could just maybe I could set them up and they just loop over and over and you guys could just watch them for hours. We could show snow videos. Probably don't want to watch too many flooding videos, but wind videos, I mean, we can do this forever. And we can look at snow pictures, et cetera, et cetera. We can look at lots of things. Let's take a look at the wind because I totally messed up on that. Let's take a look at the wind coming up, and that was a complete miss by me. I'm sorry. I was set up for it, and I just forgot. So looking at winds here going into tonight, not too bad. Friday has some easterly northeast flow, nothing too crazy. Maybe later in the day, it picks up a little bit. And then we got maybe Saturday some southerlies. Just not seeing a ton that's jumping out. A lot of this is going south. Any wind that could have had really, and this is surface wind. So I'm not sure if Logan is looking at winds above the surface, at 850s or higher up, which we could look at. But surface wise, not seeing a ton here. That again, maybe Monday we get a little bit of southerly action. We're gonna have to keep an eye on Monday. But again, we have to wait till we get closer. Okay, and then Thursday. Oh no, that's Thursday. Some wind in the mountains tonight, looks like, but nothing really in the lowlands to speak of. So you can see down here where all the wind is going. So, okay, let me check this. I have videos of the 96 storm. I don't have videos of the 96 storm, Jen. We're gonna have to get those on here. Yes, I know. That's right. You told me you did. Okay, the videos are coming through fine. Okay, yeah, videos of the snow, and we'll be, when we have snow, we'll be able to do that. No, not below surface, above surface winds. But if you have videos of snow, of course, we're going to be able to post those, and we'll have a place for that when we go into that time of the year. So I don't know if I answered your question, Logan. I got caught up in here watching too many snow videos. Okay, let's check the comments on the Facebook page, but I think we've gone long enough here. Oh, Scott Sistek has joined us on the live here tonight. Yes, this was the one with the buried pickup truck. Yes, that was Dylan Honcoop. that took a picture of the buried pickup truck, I believe. And you, Scott, had a blog post that shared a video or a picture of mine, and then I think of Dylan Honcoop. He used to work at KGMI and used to do road reports. And I kind of took over when he left KGMI. I took over doing the road reports. And I'm now kind of the guy that does that around here. And of course, we've got some of the other chasers that come up, especially Benjamin from Washington Weather Chasers always comes up here when we have snow. But yes, that was the one with the buried pickup truck. And by the way, Scott Sistek used to be at Como and then Fox Weather, and he started his own blog, Emerald City Weather. Please give him a follow on Facebook. I'm going to pull that up here, and I can pull up the blog. But I will say this, Scott really helped me in my early days with my photography. He started the Como LOZ, which was the Legion of Zoom, which was a takeoff of the Legion of Boom. I've told this story lots, and Scott started sharing pictures. He asked me if he could share my pictures when I was just starting as a photographer. And I'm like, no, I don't know, mine aren't very good. But he allowed me to get going on the platform and on social media and Como, and I don't know, the rest is history, I would say. But let me just pull up Scott's, and I would highly recommend following Scott. We probably should share more of these on the page, but he's right here at Scott Sistek Meteorologist, and now he just put up a La Nina post himself. So, and you can read it. He usually has a summary at the top or at the bottom, and then he has extended information. He's a great writer, and he's putting up some of the same stuff we were just talking about. And I know he would appreciate it if you like it and even share his stuff. And he's got really good content, especially in the Pacific Northwest. He's looking at the whole Northwest, and he's in the Seattle area. He shared my picture the other night on the Aurora. I've given him free reign of my photography to use, and then he's running the Emerald City blog, weather blog. Let's see if I can pull that up for you. Okay, where's the Facebook algorithm? You basically got to put links in the comments for it to go anywhere, is what I'm understanding. But here, right here, and he's got his latest La Nina post that he made into a blog post, and then he's got here's his post. Oh, looks like you can sign up too. But here's his post from the Aurora the other night, and mine's at the top. And he's using some other pictures of some other people, and he explains it probably in most language that most of you can understand. So really appreciate Scott's follows us here. Shannon O'Donnell's on the page. We've also got there's a guy in Vancouver, and I just drew a blank on his name. Tyler Hamilton follows us here. Not that they're on here a whole lot. They don't have to come to our page a whole lot because they already know what's happening. But they can also look at Whatcom County and see the storms and the weather, and see if their forecast is going right, because often in the winter we get a lot of the weather. I would say Whatcom County gets not every storm, but we get the majority of ones that are going to come. And for sure, the winter weather is going to come through us, generally speaking. I mean, there is exceptions, but the cold air is going to be from us. I mean, it's from Canada, but it has to go through Whatcom, as we all know, through the Fraser. And so, and we get south wind storms, we get northeast wind storms, we get, sadly, flooding, we get ice storms. What else am I missing? Windstorms, but yeah, I already said that. So snowstorms, we just get, we generally in the western we get the huge majority or parts of the huge of most of them. Now we can miss out on south wind storms, but we sure get a lot of them. But we don't miss out on Fraser outflow if they're there. We're going to get that. If there's any setups, we're always going to get that. So the Fraser outflow, and we'll talk about that when it gets up, if we have a chance. Oh, I was going to look at something. Yes. Hold on. Let me take a look at something. I forgot about this. Let me look. Hold on. Just a second here. And this video's gone. Okay. So this is where and this is not a strong Fraser outflow setup, but if you want to see here on that 0Z run tonight, and this again, way out in 276, this is a week from Tuesday, but when you start to see an Arctic high up here, and this isn't the best, this isn't the strongest high, and then you start seeing these bars, and I just drew a blank on what they're called for some reason, and I do know what they are. The millibars of pressure, when they start tightening up in this gradient, this is what creates northeast wind, or it's a telltale sign that we got northeast wind. It doesn't last very long. I mean, because it's just not very many isobars, that's the word, that are very, and it just kind of goes away. It doesn't last very long, but that's something we're looking at. For an Arctic high that's 1050 or even higher is going to be strong, and we're looking at the gradient difference, the pressure difference, which gives us that northeast wind. So that's just kind of something that I keep an eye on. Look at the snow potential here on this GFS over here. Look at this, interesting. Into Montana, Idaho, Wyoming. Is that North Dakota? South. Look at this in South Dakota. Now, this is just one run, and I'm not saying this is going to happen. It's way far out, but it's just something you look at. So, okay. That was a shout out to Scott. Thanks for joining us here, Scott. Let's see if I've created any more comments on this Facebook Live tonight. Really appreciate you guys joining. Evan, good to see. Good to see you on here. Evan, he loves snow, and he loves it probably more than I do, which is saying a lot. But yep, I've been up to his place a few times in snowstorms up on the top of about Church Road, although I'm not sure he lives there now, but that's where he used to live. So, yep. Okay. I think we're good enough here tonight. And let me check the YouTube channel, but again, appreciate all of you. Maybe we'll find something else to talk about next time. Maybe we'll talk about the Fraser, where that outflow likes to hit, and we'll look at some outflow videos that I've had over the years. Maybe we'll look at the, was it the 20 or the 2020 storm, where we had the northeast wind that did some pretty good damage, 50 mile an hour winds, maybe 60. Maybe we'll take a look at those videos next time. So, okay. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to end with showing you a picture and just kind of getting you in that mode for snow, huh? I'm going to pull up my a picture that I took just a second here. It's one of my favorites that I ever took. So there's going to kind of end with this one. It's we call this calm and bright. This was, I love to get the windmill when it's snowing, and this was taken, I think, in February of 24. So we'll kind of end tonight. For those who like snow, here's what we want. Of course, everybody wants the wet snow and not the blowing snow. I always joke that Linden snow ends up in Ferndale, and Ferndale snow ends up in the water, right, with the northeast wind. About 20% of the time, we get nice, wet, fluffy snow. But also, when you have that, you have marginal temps. And so you never know if it's actually going to snow, but you can also get a whole lot of snow in a hurry, although it's heavy, wet snow, and it makes nice snowballs, but yeah, it's not it cakes to the trees. It looks nice. But it also can, pile up in a hurry. So, okay, I'm going to end with that picture. I want to say thank you to everyone. Have a great night. Again, the more you watch, the better our watch hours will be. Like, subscribe, do all what you know you need to do, right? And have a great night. We'll see you on the other side. Not sure if it'll be tomorrow night, because I'm going on a date with my wife, to dinner. But and Saturday I might be busy. But we'll catch up with you. Again, rain off and on over the next few days, especially Friday night into Saturday morning. Maybe a little bit nicer on Saturday, later in the day. Quote unquote, still chance of showers, chance of rain. Sunday, not a bad day, but still chance of rain. And then rain chances continue. Nothing that seems too crazy though. Okay, everyone have a great night. It's Randy Small.